There we go. So we've got Pro Tools open here. We're going to make a new session here. And let me just go over what we're looking at here. I just named it Midi Basics 2105 W12 for the class. And we're going to make a new session. File type wave, sample rate 44.1, bit depth 24, and then stereo mix, and then interleaved right over there. So got all that stuff there. Hold on one second. Let's just put you in the back. Oh, wait, cancel. No, just put you in the background. There we go. So that's our basic setup there, and we'll put it in the Pro Tools project, my normal location for stuff. And I'm going to hit create, and we're good to go there. So we end up with our normal window here, and what we're going to do is talk a little bit about how we can get things set up and working in Pro Tools using MIDI stuff. And we're going to use the here. Let's go grab the notes. Here we go, Midi Basics. Boom. Okay. So within Pro Tools, within any kind of MIDI stuff, MIDI is basically for communication. And this stuff here in the beginning, we're going to kind of come back to this because I want to get y'all up and running in Pro Tools first. But there's a whole bunch of stuff about communication and how MIDI communicates and stuff like that. But like I said, I want to come back and talk about that more on Friday and communication, because really for making beats in Pro Tools, you don't really need to know all this stuff. This is more for if you have external gear, if you're not using your computer, if you're using your computer with a bunch of external synthesizers and drum machines and samplers and stuff like that, then you need to know all this stuff here. But we're going to go ahead and skip ahead for now into the part that talks about Pro Tools specific stuff. And we're going to come back and talk about all that other stuff, but I'm going to come back and talk about it more on Friday. I really want to get up and running with how Pro Tools works. And so there's a couple things with Pro Tools that's new, actually, that in the newest version of Pro Tools, if you are running the newest version, which you should be if you just installed it for this class, there's actually a keyboard mode where you can actually bring up a keyboard on your computer keyboard to utilize that in Pro Tools. So we're going to be talking about that today for the new stuff. But if you have an external keyboard that's plugged in USB, like a keyboard controller, which is what a lot of people have, then we're going to show about how to get that going with Pro Tools right now. So with Pro Tools, a couple things before we start doing anything with MIDI is we really want to get the setup going on. So the setup, we're going to go into setup. We're going to go down here to MIDI, and we're going to go to Midi Studio here. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow you to get anything that's connected up to your computer working with Pro Tools. Now, you can see here when I first click on that, it actually shows a window here called Audio Devices. And the reason why it does that is because actually what that Midi Studio is pulling up is the Max Apple audio MIDI setup. Now, if you're running a Windows machine, I actually don't know what it pulls up on a Windows machine. I've never actually looked into that. So it's going to maybe a little bit different on a Windows machine, but on an Apple computer, it's going to pull up the audio MIDI setup. And we've done the audio devices in the past when we set up our Pro Tools aggregate. So what we want to do is we actually want to show the Midi Studio right up here. So if you don't see the Midi Studio window, you need to come up here and show your Midi Studio right there. And now we can see anything I've got connected up to my computer. Now in here, you can see grayed out are all the things that I've connected up to my computer in the past. I've connected up the Arturia Minilab MK2, which is what I have connected right now. The Ableton Push 2, the Launch Key MIDI, the IAC driver is here. That's always going to be there. The Minilab MK2 Updater, which I actually don't know what that is. Interesting. And then the DDJ 200, which again, I'm not really sure what that one is. It's like a DJ controller thing. I don't remember ever plugging that into my computer, but I guess I did at some point. So with this here, all this stuff just shows up. And actually, I could delete some of the stuff if I don't want to use it, like the Launch Key MIDI. I'm not going to use that anytime soon. So I can have that stuff in here. I'm going to definitely keep my Ableton Push 2 here because I use that all the time. And the MK2 Updater, not sure what that's for, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm just hitting the delete key to delete these things. You can clean this up if you want. You don't have to clean it up. But basically, just you want to go in here and make sure that what you think is connected to your computer is actually connected to your computer. Now, if you are connecting external gear like synthesizers, keyboards, drum machines, samplers, you're going to have to do a little bit more work here. But again, we're going to come back and talk about all of that on Friday. So we've got this here. Everything looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out of this. I don't need to look at that anymore right now. And I'm going to go over here. And let's go in here to our setup, and let's just take care of a couple little housekeeping things before we get started here. So we're going to go into our menu, setup preferences, and we're going to go to the MIDI section. So I'm going to go to setup, down here, preferences. We're going to go into the MIDI section over here, and there's a couple things that you want to turn on in here before you get really going with too much. And that is, you really want to, if you're making music with Pro Tools all the time, if you're using Pro Tools to produce, you want to automatically create a click track in new sessions. That's a good one to have. And then default through instrument is going to equal first selected MIDI track. So that means that my default through instrument, basically whatever I'm listening to is whatever I've selected. So if I select a track, that's the track I'm going to be listening to. Another one that I like to turn on is this display events as modified by Realtime Properties. What this does is if you have your Realtime Properties turned on, which is basically a non-destructive quantizing or transposing, things like that, if you have that turned on for a track or a clip, it's going to change what the notes are displaying based on what your Realtime Properties are showing. So I like to turn that on just so I can kind of see what's going on. The other ones in here, I don't really use these other ones too much. Double clicking a MIDI clip opens the Midi Editor, which is what you want unless you're doing scoring stuff like for orchestra. You could change that to score editor down here. Midi Merge release mode equals touch. I think that's pretty good. Delay compensation for external devices. I wouldn't really change any of the stuff. The note display standard is a pretty good one to have there. So everything else is pretty much good to go. If you have the notes here, it's got all the stuff in here in the notes here. The next thing we want to do is menu, view, mix window views. You want to turn on your instruments over here. And this is pretty good. Let me just go ahead and hit OK. And in the mix window views, go to up here to view, mix window views. We definitely want to show our instruments. So let me go ahead and make a new track in here. And I'm going to go ahead and make an instrument track. So what I'm making here is a stereo instrument track. It's going to default to ticks, and I'm going to give this a name. We're going to just call this one, let's call it an 808 kit for now. There we go. Create, and we're good to go there. Let me go ahead and make that wider. There we go. Nice and wide. Okay, so in here we can see this is an instrument track, and we can tell it's an instrument track because down here on the bottom, it's got a little keyboard down right there. You can see that. So that shows that it's an instrument track. And if we go up here, it all looks pretty much the same, except for I just showed the instrument view here in my mix window view. And I did that by clicking on View, Mix Window Views, Instruments. So in here, we've got this instrument up here view. Then we've got the Inserts, Sends, I/O section, all that stuff. It's the same as normal. Let me go ahead and put in Dempsey, what is up? How you doing? Awesome. We're still missing Decree, Shane, and Jonathan Olivo. I don't see y'all's name in here. So if you are here, put your name in again so I see that you're here. So what we want to do, if we wanted to make a basic drum beat in here, is we go to our inserts and we're going to put the instrument that we want to use on the insert right here. So I'm going to click on this multi-channel plugin, and we're going to use the one that comes with it, which is Boom. Right there, I go to my instruments, and in here I've got Boom. Click on that, and now it's going to pull up my Boom plugin. Give it just a second. There we go. There's my Boom plugin, and it did some funky stuff with my sends here, but I'm not really sure why it did that. Probably a little glitch. But there we go. Right? So you can hear I'm playing it. You can see it's moving some stuff around. Let me go ahead and thanks Decree. Awesome. Okay, so I've got my Boom here, and the Boom is just a drum machine. And if I hit the start button down here, it's gonna go ahead and play some kind of like a little sequence that it's got programmed in. I can also play that sequence by hitting key on my keyboard. and it'll just automatically play that. But I can play these individual notes by hitting different keys on my keyboard over here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you're trying to play notes and you're not hearing anything, like if I hit the down button on my keyboard and I can play my keyboard all day long. Let me get this up here in the window for you. See, I'm playing my keyboard. Nothing's actually happening because I'm on the wrong octave of my keyboard. See these buttons right here? These are your octave buttons here. Just get this out of the way. These are your octave buttons right here. And you can octave up and octave down on these, which is going to play different notes on the key range here. So right now, we're not hearing any sounds. But if I wanted to hear some sounds, all I do is just play these keys over here. Or I can use the octave buttons to get these playing in a different part of my keyboard. So whenever I have students who are not able to hear the sounds, they're saying, oh, you know, Tony, I can't hear the sounds. I've got the drum kit up. Everything looks good, but I'm not hearing any sounds when I play the keyboard. The first thing I always tell them is change your octave on your keyboard. Usually octave down a couple times, and that's going to get you to the right notes on your keyboard because there's only 16 drum sounds. Those 16 drum sounds are not going to take up the entire range of the keyboard. They're only going to take up 16 keys on the keyboard. So we want to make sure we get to the right range of notes. Now, with boom, some of the keys in the middle will also play these patterns. They play different patterns. So if every time you hit the key, it's playing a whole pattern, then just hit the stop button on the pattern to get it to stop and then octave down a couple times. And it's going to get over to the right place. Like that. And you can hear it's playing. You can also hear the clacking of the keys with this microphone here as well, I'm sure. So first things first, I got my boom up here. It's an instrument. And one thing we're going to see is I've still got all these inserts after it, okay? Well, I can actually insert in different effects and stuff like that if I wanted to. This is creating the sound, and I can add effects onto the sound as we come down here. But we're going to come back and talk about that in just a second. First things first, let's add a click track in here. If you're new to making music, one of the key things to remember is always have a click track. Always, always, always have a click track. And the way that we make a click track in Pro Tools is we go up here to Track, Create Click Track down here. It's super, super easy. You just create that click track like that. And now we've got a click track. I'm going to go ahead and slow that down. If I want to change my tempo, there's two ways I can do it. I can go into Window, Transport, and it pulls up my little transport here. And on the right-hand side of the transport, there's this little metronome conductor track here. I can turn that off. Actually, I could keep it on and just turn this down here. I can adjust my tempo right here. So turn that down a little bit more. Cool. And then I can play along like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and record a little MIDI thing in here real quick, and we're going to come back and talk about it in detail. But it's very similar to how you record your audio. Remember we did the whole audio recording, and most of y'all have completed that assignment. So with this, it's basically the same thing. You record the audio by hitting the record button here. Same thing with MIDI. The only difference is I can hear my MIDI track because we turned on that preference in earlier. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to hit the record button here, this little record arm button on the track. And now I can hit the record button up here, or I can hit Command Space, or I can hit F12. And then if I play that back, we're going to hear what I just played. Great. Now, you notice that it's a little bit off. I played a little bit sloppy. I wasn't really paying a whole bunch of attention to it. And also because there's so many things happening with my computer, there's like a little bit of a lag. So playing while I'm recording and also broadcasting and everything is a little bit tricky. So I don't even worry about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this using my Quantize. The Quantize allows us to lock events into a grid. Now, each one of these little dots right here, let me go ahead and make this bigger. zoom in, each one of these dots represents a note on my keyboard. So every time I hit a note and I played it, it's gonna show it to me right here. These little boxes are notes on my keyboard. If I want to see these a little bit easier, I can go over here where it says clips, and I can change that to notes. And now you can see there's little boxes down on the bottom. Well, if I want to, I can just hit these arrows going down until I can see these. I can hold it down. There we go. And you see how it's a little bit narrow right now? If I want to zoom in on those, I go up here to the upper left-hand corner, and I can click on the zoom in, and it will make these notes fatter, so it's a little bit easier to see. So now I can actually edit these. Let me change my grid over here to 8th note, and there I can see these all. Well, what I want to do is I want to actually use my Quantize. I could click these and drag them around to lock onto my grid if I wanted to, but I don't want to do it like that. What I want to do is I want to highlight all of them by dragging over them like this, and I'm going to go up to Event Operations right there and go to Quantize. The shortcut is Option 0 or Alt 0 if you're on a Windows machine. And I'm going to set my Quantize grid to 8th notes because I was playing 8th notes, and I'm going to hit Apply and watch what happens. Boom. It all locks into the grid. Right? That sounds fine. It's a little bit boring, but for right now, boring is better than sloppy, just for now, just so because we're still getting going, and we can add some feel into that later. There are ways to change that up. So what I've got here is I've got this little 2 bars of me playing drums. I can go ahead and edit the clip if I put it back into clips mode over here on the left. I can cut the clip. Let me go ahead and put my names and stuff in. View, clip views, name, and then also make sure we've got the gain info. You're not going to see the gain info because it's a MIDI track, but we're going to use that for later on when we have some audio tracks in here. Now, one thing you may have noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I have to keep resetting things every time. And the reason why I have to do that is because I'm on a MacBook M1 computer, and it's a MacBook Air M1, and Pro Tools technically isn't compatible with this, so there have been some little bugs and glitches that have been going on with stuff. It's nothing that's going to kill my production, but it does mean that if I'm starting over with a new session, it always resets back to these weird settings. I think it's just like whatever settings was on my computer at some point, like the narrow mix views or not showing me the names of my clips. Usually the stuff stays with Pro Tools in your session, just goes with you from session to session, but for some reason it's not, and I think that's the reason why. Anyway, I've got this little clip here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this clip, I'm going to delete the first bar, I'm going to put this clip just back to the first bar. So now I have the first 2 bars here, and if I hit play, it's going to loop this and repeat this. Cool, so we can see it just looped that. For some reason, it also got rid of the first note is gone. Interesting. Again, that is probably, that's weird. That's just, obviously it's just a glitch because we're hearing the note. Oh, there's another note on top of it. Interesting. Okay. But okay, that's better. Again, there's going to be weird little glitches because I am using a MacBook M1. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry, y'all. All right. So in here, we got this. If we listen to it, it sounds fine. It's a little bit boring because it's just a straight up groove. There's no like feel to it or nothing, but we're going to fix that up later on. What I'm going to do now is we're going to add a hi-hat into that because really for a beat like this, we really want like a little hi-hat going. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the hi-hat on top of this clip that's already there. Well, I've got my transport window still open. The way I'm going to add this hi-hat onto it is I'm going to make sure that my Midi Merge button down here is pushed. You can see it's blue, and that's going to allow me to record MIDI notes on top of this clip that's already there. In order for it to loop around while I do it, I make sure that my play is looped, but I don't want my record to be looped. Now that's a little bit weird because we are going to be recording, and if you think about it, it makes sense for it to be loop record to be turned on, but in reality, we do not want loop record to be turned on. We just want it to be regular record, and then you're going to have loop playback turned on. I'm going to hit my F12 or 3 key if you have a numeric keypad, and now we can see it's red for record. So if I go in here, you can hear I like cleaned it up a little bit kind of towards the end, but I'm a little bit on top of things. Again, the timing's just gonna be off. There's nothing I can, again, I just got too much going on with my computer. So now I'm gonna hit the 3 key, it's gonna stop recording and it's just playing. While it's playing, I can go ahead and quantize again so that hi-hat will be right on top of things. So I'm gonna hit Option 0 to pull up my quantize menu. And I'm just gonna hit apply because the settings are already there from last time I did this. And now you can hear it locked it in. Let me hit Command Z to undo that. Listen for that hi-hat and listen how it's a little bit on top of things. Hear how it's like a little bit ahead of everything? Well, when I hit quantize here, it brings it in so it locks it right into that grid. Awesome. Sounds good so far. Okay, great. So at this point, I can really mute this click track because now I've got a drum beat in there. I don't need that drum beat. I'm gonna put the click track up top. I don't really need this click track anymore. I'm just gonna keep it here just in case for later on, but we've got a good sound there. All right, boring, very straight, but there it is. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and add a bass line into this. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new track, Command-Shift-N to make a new track. And again, I'm going to make a stereo instrument track right there. And I'm gonna give this a name, bass. I'm gonna hit return. It's gonna put it in right there. Now, what I wanna do is I want to pull up my instruments on here so I can see what's going on. And I'm gonna put my instrument insert, sorry, not my instruments, my inserts. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to my first insert and I am going to go to instrument and I'm gonna go down to the bottom and go to vacuum. Now, if you have installed all of the Pro Tools plugins that you get for free, this is all stuff that comes with Pro Tools. It's actually a good little selection of things. It comes with Pro Tools. And this stuff sounds good, actually, that drum kit. It's not my favorite, it's not my favorite sound in the world. Actually, let's get a real, hold on, I just realized we were not using really an 808. That's the electro kit. Let's use the 808. There we go. There we go, much better. Turn up that hi-hat a little bit. Much better. I like that. I prefer that 808 sound. I'd call it the 808 kit, but I didn't put it in there. Ha ha ha. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to vacuum and we're going to get a little bass here. Let's click on, turn off the record enable button. And now we can hear that. All right, cool. Doesn't sound like a bass right now. What I can do is I can go up here to my presets and I can go to where it says bass and I can click on the first one here. I can play some of that. I can go. And there's just all these different presets. And I can just listen for these and decide on one that I like. Cool. That sounds pretty good. So we'll use that one for now. And I turned the volume down on it. Just can turn that back up a little bit. All right, I'll just record a little 2-bar loop. So I go ahead and hit this in here and hit the 3 key. It's gonna start going. It's gonna record over itself. Remember, I've got that Midi Merge turned on, and just whenever I'm ready, I can just go ahead and play. And I'll just play that little line I was just doing right there. Cool. Again, I'm a little bit on top of things. I'm gonna stop recording there. Apply this. I'm going to change it to a 16th note because I've got a little 16th thing going on in there. Hit apply. There we go. Cool. Again, there's very little feel to this, but okay. I'm gonna adjust the cutoff here. See what happens. Yeah, get a little bit more on that. Now, we can hear that it's kind of re-triggering. Every time this bass note, see how every time it re-triggers, it's got that little bite on the beginning. Well, I don't want that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double click on this note, and when I double click on the clip, it pulls me into my Midi editor here. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. I'm gonna close that out. I'm gonna close this one out too. I don't really need that one right now. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that these are overlapping a little bit. Well, I can edit these notes any way I want. So I can take this first one here and I can just like take it and make it so it's a little bit longer. If I want to make it like a little bit longer and not snap to the grid, hold down my command key there. Remember, the command key is temporary slip mode. Now when I hit play, and you can hear this one here has a little bit of a bite on the beginning, so I'm going to make that one a little bit longer as well. Cool. All right, that sounds pretty good. Now, if I wanted to edit my bass, my drums, I can click on the drums over here, pull them up. This little dot here is what we're actually seeing on the screen, and the pencil is what we're actually editing. So I click on the pencil. I can see everything at the same time. I don't really need to see that bass line though, so let's go ahead and shut that down. I'm going to scroll down here. Let's see what happens if we move these around. Are there any other kind of notes? These sound about the same. I was going to see if there's maybe a different little drum sound in there to use, but it's basically the same thing. So why don't we do this? I want to hear that with like a little shaker sound instead of like a hi-hat sound. So why don't we go ahead and duplicate the track. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go down here to duplicate. I'm just going to hit OK. All this stuff here, what do we want to duplicate? Everything is fine. I'm going to hit that. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to get rid of all these other notes in here. So I can just click on one and drag down like this. And it highlights all the notes that are in the middle there. And I can get rid of it. And I can go back over to this first one here. And on this one, I'm going to get rid of the hi-hat sound. So now, basically, I end up with the same thing that I had before, but I've got a different track here with a different kit on it. I'm going to call this one 808. I'm going to call this one Shaker. Give it a name, different name. And I'm going to go to this boom kit. Open that up. Turn off the record enable for my bass sound. So now whatever I click on, I can hear it. And let's change that sound right there to a different one. Here, actually, let's just change the whole kit. It's on both of these here. Let's just see if there's a better sound that's more of a shaker type of sound. Yeah, not my favorite. Yeah, no. Yeah, let's use that one for now, just to show you how you can like change the sounds. All right, cool. So I got that sound change there. And you can see with the MIDI data, what's cool about MIDI data as opposed to audio data is we can add stuff in, we can take stuff out, we can adjust things. And this is really the important thing to remember about MIDI data. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop off the end of this right here just so it's a little bit cleaner. Zoom in here so we can see our full on two things. Let's go ahead and add in another sound. Let's add in like a piano sound. I'm gonna make a new track, stereo instrument track. I'm going to give this a name, piano. And in here, I'm going to grab my instrument. I'm going to grab down here. Where is it? I forget what the name of it is. Hold on, let's go over to our Avid instruments. Is it in here? No, maybe it's under air. Structure. Here we go. So we'll use structure here, and structure has like some samples and things in it. There might actually be a piano that comes with this. I'm not really sure. Actually, you know what? Here we go. Is there a piano in here? Hold on. Actually, under air, there might be this. Oh, here's a mini grand. Here, we'll use this mini grand. So that'll be like a little piano thing. Are you hearing anything? There we go. Turn the volume down. That's a decent little piano. We'll just put that in right there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this. Turn on my record enable for the track. So now we're record enabled. Hit the 3 key and then just record it in. Clean it up a little bit. Cool. Turn it down a little bit loud. Okay, and a basic little beat here, just using the sounds that come with Pro Tools here. So we got the 808 kit, we got our shaker sound, we got our bass, we got our piano here, and a quick little 2-bar loop. Now, if I wanted to lay this out and turn it into like a little song, let's go ahead and put this stuff over. I can use this to kind of just arrange things real quick. Move that over there a little bit. Actually, what I'll do is keep all my stuff here, and I'll put the song start like over here at bar 9. So I can use this as my scratch pad area. This is something that I do a lot when I'm working in Pro Tools. And let's get this shaker going here and the piano. I'm gonna hold down Option to drag it over to make a copy of it. And then I can use Command D to duplicate these. And we're just gonna get right into it here. So we're just gonna have like a little 4-bar part here in the beginning. Like that. And then maybe like this, get that piano out of there for a second. Just real basic layout here. And then bring everything back. Like that, boom. And then there we go, something like that. Okay, so little intro thing here, whatever with that piano. You know, whatever. Okay, a little bit slow for me. So what we'll do is pull up our, speed this up a little bit. Okay, and Pro Tools doesn't love it when you speed things up while it's playing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and speed that up like that. Maybe around there is a little bit better, so it's not dragging too far. All right, so there you got like a little basic thing here showing you how to lay this stuff out right there. So let's go back and take a look at the notes and kind of get into in depth about how to do all this stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this back here. I'm gonna save that, and then we're going to do a save as and start over again. Let's call this one Basics 2. There we go. Cool. I'm going to get rid of all this stuff in here. All the tracks. Delete everything out. There we go. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it so it quantizes things as I go, right? Before I was quantizing after the fact. Quantizing, remember, is locking everything into the grid. I'm going to quantize stuff as I go. So when I'm playing stuff in, it's quantizing right in the beginning. So first steps, I'm going to go up to my event. I'm going to go to event operations. And all the stuff to do with MIDI things are in this event operations. And then we're going to go into input quantize right here. Input quantize. And we're going to set that so it says 16th note, because we're going pretty slow here, 16th note. And yeah, that looks pretty good there. So I'm going to turn it on, enable input quantize right there. Click that on, and I'm going to close this window out. Now, keep in mind, whenever you quantize stuff, a good rule of thumb for quantizing is 16th notes is anything slower than like 130-ish. Depends on how good of a player you are, because things can get weird with quantizing. But anything under 130 BPMs, I usually use 16th notes. Anything faster than 140, I usually use 8th notes. And I usually keep the strength down. Right now, I'm just going to keep it at 100. But if you want to set that strength to around like 80 to 95%, something like that, it's not a bad idea. Okay. Midi Merge, I'm going to keep this on. When it's on, new notes will be added to the MIDI clip. When it's off, everything's going to record over the MIDI clip. So I like to keep the Midi Merge turned on. As I showed you, the Midi Merge is this button in the transport. You go to menu, window, transport, under window here, transport. And the Midi Merge is this one down here. On mine, it was on by default, but on yours, it may or may not be. Then my click track. Click is super, super important. Please do not try to record MIDI stuff without using a click track or some kind of a thing to keep your rhythm. So here, I can turn the metronome on and off with this button right here if I want to. If I press it too quickly, it's going to open up that window. Right. Cool, so we got that there. And loop record must be off, loop playback must be on. Usually Midi Merge is used for drum recording. That's really what you use Midi Merge for, but you can have it on for other stuff. Just remember, if you start playing around, it's going to add notes into your clip. All right, so that's the end of the notes right there, which is not much of the notes. We're going to go to the second page of notes here in a second. But first, what I do is I just go ahead and make a new track. Instrument tracks are always going to be stereo. Always make your instrument track stereo unless you have some reason not to, which, trust me, you really don't. And let's going to go ahead and make this 808 kit. Okay. And let's set up like a little loop so I can record. So let's do a 4-bar loop this time. And actually, let's do 2 bars, and then I'll show you how to like add it, like duplicate it and add some little things into it. So we got this here. We got a 2-bar loop. If I hit go, we're going to see that it's just going to loop around here. We're just looping this 2-bar section here. I got my metronome on. I want to get my 808 drums up here. So I go in here to multi-channel, instrument, and then go down to the bottom. No, not go up here to the top. And it says boom right there. Bam. Okay, so I got the boom, and I'm going to choose my drum kit. Let's use the right drum kit this time. It's a Fat 8. And you can hear it's actually playing patterns. And the reason why it's playing patterns is because my octave key is hit on my keyboard. We can see with my keyboard here, the octave key is flashing right there. So what I want to do, see, it's playing this right here, but I can turn this down. Okay, cool. Actually, you know what? I'm not in love with that. Fat 8 sounds. Let's go back here to the 8-0. All right, cool. So go ahead and close that out and hit go on this. No tracks are record enabled, so turn on my record there, hit go. Awesome, there we go. Let's do this. Let's do this more of like a kind of a little trap type of beat. So what I'm gonna do to do that is we're gonna speed this up to like 140 or so. And I'm gonna change my input quantize away from the 16th note and put it to the 8th note for right now. And I'm going to show you how to like put in some little rolls and stuff like that with your hi-hats. So in here we got this. Make that a little bit faster. Cool. And now you can hear, because I've had the input quantize turned on, it's going to automatically lock it in. Cool. I can just lay things on. There we go. Cool. We're just gonna lay that down. Now if I want to hear my sounds without actually recording new stuff in, I can go ahead and turn off my record by hitting my 3 key or F12 or something. I can just turn it off right here and it's no longer going to record, and I can find the key on my keyboard. All right, so I can cool, right? That sounds pretty cool. Now I can put my hi-hat in. Right, so I can go ahead and play it in a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, so we got that hi-hat line in there, but what I want to do is I want to do a couple little rolls on it. I also want to make it a little bit louder. So to make it louder, I'm going to go over here and actually put that in there. I'm going to change the decay. There we go. We don't need this guy anymore. And this crash cymbal, turn that one down. So both of these are around the same kind of level. Cool. Now I want to put a little roll thing in with this hi-hat, so I'm going to double click on here, and we can see in here it's set for my 16th note. Let's go ahead and make that even a quicker rhythm. Up here with the grid, change that to a 32nd note. There we go. And let's put this in, where are we? So it's a 4-bar loop. It's like a, yeah. And so right here at the end of bar 2, we'll put some notes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pencil tool, which is F10. And the pencil tool, we got freehand, line, all that stuff there. So what I can do is I'm just going to use freehand. I'm going to pencil a couple of these in, put one right there. And you can see down at the bottom, if we look down here at the bottom, you can see here's the velocity for that note. If I hold down my command key while I hover my mouse over the note, it turns into like a little staple thing. And if I drag up and down, it can actually change my velocity. You can see down at the bottom of the screen, but we can hear it as it's doing it. I don't really want to hear it. I know what this hi-hat sounds like. I don't need to hear it. So in order to turn off the sound, I can go up here and click on this little MIDI speaker button. What that MIDI speaker button does is it means that whenever I click on a note, it's going to output the note to wherever it's going. So essentially I'm going to hear it. So if you don't want to hear it, turn that off, which in my case, I don't want to hear it. So turn that up there. Great. Let's scroll over here to the right a little bit. I'm holding down my shift key and using my scroll wheel on my mouse to scroll horizontally. And over here, let's put in a couple more. And I'm just going to click them each in like that. And let's just see what that sounds like. Nice. Yeah, put one in right here. Awesome. And you can hear they sound pretty cool. They're a little bit quiet, which is fine. Let's make a little bit roll up. Yeah, give a little bit more of a vibe. That sounds pretty good there. Nice. Okay, cool. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and make that kick drum a bit shorter as well, because I want to put in an 808. There we go. And what I'm doing is I'm using the decay here. So it's like changing the, I guess these are probably samples. And so it's just changing the decay on there. And this hi-hat, I don't love this hi-hat. Let's see if we can find a better hi-hat. That's okay. I kind of like that one better. We can change the tuning. Let's see what else we got. That one's okay too. But I don't know. Definitely not for this trap stuff. That's like more of a vintage type of sound. That one's pretty cool, right? And if you wanted to, like, you know, put the rolls, like the ups and downs and stuff, I don't think people are really doing that so much anymore, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't really listen to trap so much. All right. That sounds okay. Cool. All right. So we got that there. Now let's go ahead and put an 808 type of bass sound in here. I think the way I'm going to do that is actually using the... well, if you have 808 samples, you could put them in here and use those. But I think what I'm going to do is use vacuum to kind of sound design an 808 type of sound. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's use vacuum in here. I mean, I got all these things, but I kind of want to show it to you with stuff that you have and what's actually available to you. So in here, what we're going to do here is we're just going to get, let's see here. Where's my VCO1 saw triangle and turn down. There we go. So we just need to make that one sound like an 808. Yeah. All right, cool. So we got that there. That's a pretty good little, that's a good starting point for the sound. What we're going to do is we're going to make that one fall off over time. So we're going to turn the sustain down and there we go. Turn that release a little bit longer. Cool. I'm going to get this cutoff going here. There we go. Get a little bit of a, hold on. There we go. Turn up the attack right there a little bit. And I'm going to get the, this envelope 1 here is my, it's my envelope for my filter here. Let's get a little top, a little front to that. There we go. make it a little bit longer. Cool, so now we have like a little 808 sound. Let's go ahead, wait, one more thing in here. It's got this saturation knob. Right, there we go. That sounds pretty tough. So let's go ahead and back this up. Let's record something in here. Cool. All right, I'm gonna add one in here as well. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Hold on a second. Let's get rid of that one little weird one. You see this little weird one's like hiding under there. It's because I accidentally hit that again. So we're gonna do that. And then what we're gonna do in here is let's add in one more note over here at this one here. Boom. Turn that up. Now it doesn't really matter how long these are. There we go. Awesome. All right. Turn this down just a little bit. And we can tweak these sounds as we go, but all I really have done so far is I'm using MIDI to just kind of create this beat, and I tailored the sound just a little bit just to make it like, you know, fit what's in my head here. And if I want to go in and edit these, okay, so let's do some editing on these. First of all, I'm a thanks to Cree Fire, nice. I'm glad you're digging it. So what I want to do is I want to make all of these be the same length. Now you don't have to. You can hear that they sound exactly the same, but for me, I like it when my things look nice when I'm looking at stuff for a long period of time. So what I want to do is just real quick, it only takes a second. I'm going to go ahead and change the length of all these notes so they're all the same length. And that way I can edit them easier later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to my event operation and I'm going to go to duration. Now in here, there's a whole bunch of different event operations that we can do. Let's go ahead and take a look at these in our notes. And to get to that, it's just this stuff here, event operations, boom. It's in this these notes here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to, this talks about quantizing, which we'll come back to here. Let's talk about change duration. Now change duration is, the duration is how long the note is being held for. And in this case, it doesn't really matter much. It's just, if I just wanna clean it up so I can see it better. So what I can do is I can go to event operations, change duration, and I can set all of these over here, and it shows me a little map here. Now I want to set them all to the 16th note. The 16th note is 240. So hit 0 here. Now you might be going, wait, what? Why is the 16th note 240? Well, because Pro Tools has not adopted a real musical notation. They're still using ticks for these little subdivisions, which is really weird because everybody else has kind of adopted 16th notes, 8th notes, 32nd notes, all that stuff. But Pro Tools for the duration is still doing old school MIDI like numbers, which is super annoying. But anyway, we can see when I hit that, if I hit undo, see how they're all like different lengths. If I change this to 240, which is 16th notes, hit apply, now they all become the same length. Now, in this case here, let me mute that. Because of the way I set up this, the synth, it's there's not going to be any variation, whether they're long or short. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you something in a second where it will matter a little bit more. But I'm going to go ahead over here to this one. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to do it like a little step shorter here. Let's change that to 32nd notes. And the reason why I did that was because I've got some of these rolls in here. Again, you don't have to do this. You can do it. You can leave it alone, which depending on how quickly I'm working, you know, it doesn't really matter if you set this up. It's just something I used to do. I don't really do it so much anymore. But let's go ahead and, where are we in the key of F? We should be in the key of F. Let's go ahead and bring in another synth in here. And we're going to use the here, instrument track. We're going to call this one a lead. And we're going to use the vacuum again. I'm going to try to do as much stuff with vacuum as I can. I mean, I'm going to do everything with vacuum right now just because I want y'all to be able to see stuff that you actually have access to. I thought I had structure, the real version of structure, but I guess I don't. I think you do have the access to the real version of structure. I'm not sure. But I'm going to use vacuum again. And in vacuum here, I'm going to go to my sounds. Let's go to percussive TG sounds. Let's go to our lead sounds. And let's see if there's any kind of plucky type of sounds in here. I don't see anything that says pluck. So let's make it kind of a pluck sound. Here, let me turn that down so we're not hearing anything. Turn off my record enable button. And let's go up. All right, not that one for show. All right, that's okay. It's kind of like that one better. All right, let's record that in and let's like mess with it a little bit. I like to get my sounds kind of sounding cool-ish from the beginning. So we'll add a couple of effects on it. We're going to bring in the stuff we learned about. All right, so that's okay, but we can make it sound a little bit better by adding some effects in here. What I'm going to do is we're going to add in down here right beneath it. Now remember what I said earlier is that we can add effects onto these because these are actually generating the sound in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little filter in here. We're going to use a filter that comes with Pro Tools. Go up here to my modulation and go to vintage filter. And in here I got my vintage filter, boom. Okay, I don't love that sound, but it's getting the job done for right now. Now what I'm gonna do, make these smaller, is let's go over here. Let's add in some that's so weird. It's like, it has this like weird stuff in here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add in some reverb and some delays. So I'm gonna make 2 aux tracks. There we go, 2 aux tracks. I'm gonna make them stereo. We're gonna hit go there. And the first one is gonna be called reverb, and the second one is gonna be called delay.
Are you watching this?
There we go.
Yes, watch.
And we're gonna put a little reverb up on here. Put a reverb in here. We'll use the deverb that comes with Pro Tools. There we go. Set that up there. Let's make it into like a plate, I guess. And then delay, also the one that comes with Pro Tools. We're gonna go in here to my delays, and we're gonna use the mod delay 3, which comes with Pro Tools. And let's go ahead and send it over. So I'm going to go ahead and solo safe these. Remember solo safing. And this is stuff, what we're doing right now is, this is not MIDI what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing is actually more routing and production, like mixing type of stuff. But it all kind of comes together, right? Don't remember what I said. You're not going to forget about the stuff you learned in the beginning. We want to make the stuff sound good. We want to be inspired, right? So we're gonna make the sound more fun for us, all right? So we got this here. Let's send it over to the reverb. Send it to bus 1 and 2. The input of this one we'll set to bus 1 and 2. And this one here, bus 3 and 4. And the input here is bus 3 and 4. And I'm going to rename these so they actually have the name for the track. Right click, select rename, call this one reverb. And this one here, right click, select rename, call this one delay. And it's the same name as what is on my track there. The reason why is when I glance at it, I know which track it's going to. Now you'll notice that when I change the name here, it also changes the name here because it's changing the name of the whole bus. So now, let's go ahead and open that up. I'm going to hold down Shift so I got both of them there. And I'm also going to add the reverb to the delay in a bit. I'll do that in a second. So now, there we go. Already sounding better. Yeah, cool. Let's make the church small. I changed it to church. Let's put this in here. And now, gonna change these up a little bit. Okay, and that's okay. It's a little bit faster than what I want. Hold on, let's change this to the quarter note. All right, let's turn this feedback down. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in an EQ after the delay here. So it's just capturing the, like a filter, I guess. Actually, yeah, let's use a filter. Modulation. And so I'm just gonna shave out the frequencies here that we're using. I'm gonna use the band pass. There. There we go. Much better. And then we're going to send this over to the reverb as well. There we go. Cool. Turn the signal down to that delay. Nice. And you can hear it's sounding much better already. Get that filter back up. Sweet. Okay, cool. So we got a like nice little sound here going on. And in here, this sound, delete. It doesn't matter if I hit it long or soft, so let's change that so it does matter. The reason why it doesn't matter is because I got this like down here, the sustain, so let's turn this up. Yeah. So I can play it longer and shorter, and the reason why I'm doing that is so that I can show you some cool stuff that you can do with these event operations. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all these, this is like a good little starting point right here, and we're gonna, oops. Drag this over like that. There we go. And we're going to duplicate this out a couple times. Just make it like a little, what is that, 4 bar? So we'll just do one more time like this. I'm going to loop this. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take these and consolidate all these together using Option Shift 3. So it's going to make one long MIDI track over here. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to take this vintage filter and we're going to have it so it grows up over time. So what I want to do is I want it to grow over time and I want it to lengthen over time as well. So it gets a nice little transition thing. I know it's just the beginning of the song. We're not really going to make a whole song as. I just want to show you how you can do like a transition thing using these and basically kind of give you an idea of what you can do with these different features in here. So we're going to go in this vintage filter, what we talked about yesterday with the automation. And if you haven't watched that video, and if you haven't like seen it, or if you were missing out yesterday, if you're like, what automation, what? Please go back and check that out because it's really important. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to auto here and we're going to get our cutoff, double click that so it's automatable. And this I'm going to go down here. We're going to have it start down here and grow up. Like that. So I'm going to go here to where it says clips. Now, a couple things that are a little bit different because we are using MIDI here. Up top, all this stuff up here is all to do with MIDI. So you got your blocks, which just shows you blocks. It doesn't actually have anything in there. Then you've also got your clips, which is where you're going to see your notes, but you can't actually edit your notes. And then beneath that, you've got your notes, which allows you to actually edit your notes. You can see the notes are kind of off the top of the screen there. Then beneath that, you've got your velocity. So I can actually edit all my velocities if I wanted to. And then I've got MIDI volume, MIDI mute. These are all like automation for MIDI stuff. There's a whole bunch of things in here, which we're going to talk about more on Friday. Now, the thing is with this is that this is all to do with the MIDI side of things. Remember in the beginning, we put our instruments up here. Well, the instruments, this is all MIDI stuff up here. And I'm going to come back and kind of show you what's actually going on here with this, but that's all to do with this stuff up here. So you got a volume up here, you got pan. This is all MIDI volume, MIDI pan, not audio volume, not audio volume or audio pan. So what we're looking at here is the top part. This is all to do with MIDI stuff, and there's a lot of MIDI things. Down here, this is all to do with audio stuff. So the audio volume, the audio mute, pan left, pan right, all the stuff that we're used to that we talked about yesterday, it's all down here. And we can see my little vintage filter that I turned the cutoff on, it's right here as well. So I can go down here, I can access my plugin. And now, let's have this grow up over time. So I'm going to put a point right there. And I'm going to go over here. And we're going to have this grow up very slowly over a long period of time. And I think right there is probably about the peak. And I'm going to put, here, let's just make it a little bit bigger so we can see what's actually going on. I'm going to make it into a grid, turn off the grid. I'm going to make it into like a little slope. For those of you who might complain about, there's no slopes. Well, here you go. Here's a slope. Looks like a slope. There you go. I'm just eyeballing a slope. And now if we listen to this, you can see this one here is moving slowly. Right, we'll cut the sounds out here at the end a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is, that sounds pretty cool, but let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's make it so the notes lengthen over time as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back up to the clips, so I can just see that. And I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and we're going to go to our event operations here. I just pulled up my Quantize, which is option 0, but if we want to see it here under the menu, go to event operations. We're going to go to change duration. Now we already did this with the bass, but it didn't really sound like much. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all these here to, let's set them all to legato. Let's set them all to legato here. Legato basically means overlapped. But what I'm going to do is, instead of having it overlapped, or instead of having a gap, I'm going to just set these both to 0. So there's no gap, there's no overlap. And what that's going to do is it's going to make each note run into the note after it. So we can see here, see that? See each note now is, here if I double click it, each note is all connected up to the note. That's what legato does. Legato connects your notes together. And I turned off the gap or the overlap. So there's no overlap, there's no gap between them. So they're all just running into each other. So if we listen to this, right? It sounds very similar. Actually, here, let's change something in here with the instrument itself. Different instruments are going to respond differently to this stuff, but let's go in here. Let's change this one as well. There we go. You can, okay, so you can hear it better now, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna have it start short and get longer. So we're gonna go down here to change continuously by percentage. Let's do percentage here. And let's have it change from, it's gonna reach 100%, but we're gonna start at, let's start at, I don't know, 25%. And let's have this little curve like this. There's a little bit of a curve to it. We're not going to limit the range. And now watch what happens when I do this. You can see, I'm going to hit apply, and you're going to see the notes change in here. Watch. Boop. So see how they're really short in the beginning, but if we go towards the end, they get longer and longer and longer, right? So let's go ahead and do this, and let's change that curve actually to that. Cool. Now let's listen to this. And you can hear the end ones are a little bit weird. I don't like the end ones. Right here, how it's getting more intense over time. Okay, and so what I would do is I would want to go in here and make a couple little changes in here. But let's try a different set. Let's set them all back to 120, and let's have them change by ticks. So change this to ticks and ticks. So we're gonna have them go from so these are like eighth notes, right? So we're gonna have them reach, our destination is gonna be eighth notes. So it's gonna be 480. You got to do a little bit of math for this to work out. We're gonna have it start at let's have it start at 60, really short. Hit apply. So now we can see they change. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. So now let's listen to this. And let's turn off the let's mute the reverb and the delay. And I'm gonna solo this out. Hear how they're getting longer over time. Cool. Yeah, some of these are like not, some of these are doing some weird stuff. There's like, must be like a, did I do something weird before? I don't know why that. Yeah, what's going on here? There's another note in there. That's what happened. Hold on, so I have to go back and fix that one there for all these, because there's like a little note. And you notice that sometimes things like this happen. It's like weird. I don't know how that note got in there. But you see, it's like a little tiny baby note. But you got to fix it, or else it's going to be constantly doing that weird thing. There we go. I think we're good. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay. And this is just MIDI does weird stuff sometimes. MIDI, especially in Pro Tools, I find that Pro Tools has more MIDI weirdness than like Ableton Live does. But Ableton Live doesn't allow you to do what I'm doing right now super easily. You can do it. There's another way to do it, but you kind of have to know how to do it. It's kind of, I don't know, I'm going to call it annoying. I wish they had some of these event operations things. Logic has it, but Ableton Live doesn't have it. All right, so let's go ahead and put this back in. So now we can hear what it sounds like. Cool. Maybe we can turn this down a little bit. I'm going to cut out some of these low frequencies in that synth sound. Everything below 100. Which you probably didn't even really notice, but there was a little bit going on. They're just going to clean it up just to make sure. All right, so that's like a basic overview. Now, some other things we can get into with this. One of the things we can get into with this is let's use the select split notes. This is in your notes here. The select split notes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my drums into separate tracks. All right, because right now it's just here's your drum kit. And if I wanted to actually add some reverb onto my snare or do some things, cool stuff with the snare, which I'll show you here in a second, I can't really do it with this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of all these for a second. And we're going to separate this out so every note is on its own track with its own plugin, which is really how I do stuff unless I'm trying to make things sound like a sample loop or something. So this is under your select split notes, and it's right here. Select split notes is great for separating drums out to a different track per drum sound, and then it gives you some stuff here, which I'm going to show you in this video how to do this. Here we go. Let's zoom in on this. What I want is I want every single one of these drum sounds to be on its own track. Okay, so I've got it here. I'm going to go up to my event operations. I'm going to go to select split notes, and we're going to go to all notes. What do we want to split? We want to split all the notes. What do we want to do with them? Well, we want to split them. We want to cut to a new track per pitch. For drum stuff, this is what you want to do. You can see there's actually a whole bunch of other options for things in here, which is kind of cool if you're playing like chords and stuff. And you just want to take out your left hand, separate your left hand from your right hand. You can do that kind of stuff. There's some really cool stuff you can do. We don't need to do all that because we're just doing drums. So all you need to do is just do all notes and just do split, cut to a new track per pitch. You could do copy as well, but I just want to get rid of them out of the original track. We don't need them there anymore. So do this a new track per pitch, hit apply. Now, see what happens. It made a new track for every single pitch that I had in there. Great, okay. So first of all, I'm gonna go through, and there's a little bit of house cleaning we have to do here. I'm gonna go through and change each one of these to medium or small or something because I don't need them to be, right now it's on single individual notes, so I don't want it to be like that. This is like the only thing I don't love about doing this in Pro Tools. You have to kind of go through and do this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cymbals on the same track because they just can be on the same track. Everything else, is all its own individual one. So next I'm going to hold down Option and I'm going to copy my drum kit, boom, to every single track here. And when I do that, they're going to become a real track color. And you have to do this part by hand, but it doesn't make that big a difference. And then over here, I got the 808. Let's call this one bass drum 808. Boom. This one is side stick 808. I'm putting the 808 in there just so I know what kind of drum kit it comes from. What is this one? This one is our hi-hat. What is this one? That's our snare drum. SD 808. And then this one is going to be hand clap 808. And this one is our closed hat one. It's not an 808 one. Cool. All right, so you can hear they're all basically the same. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one here. I'm not going to get rid of the full track, so I can just keep it there in case I need to mess around with it later. I'm going to delete this track, though, that we don't have anything on. Yes, delete. Good. And this one is our Sims 808. There we go. Boom. Sims stands for symbols. So I got this in here. Now, the cool thing about this, I'm going to rearrange this real quick. The cool thing about this is that now with these tracks here, I can actually I can use send effects and send sounds out to like my reverbs and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. The side stick can go this side. Okay, cool. So let's show you what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and loop this part right here. And let's turn off our lead sound for now because it's getting a little bit. Okay, I'm going to make a reverb specifically for my drums. I'm going to call it drum reverb. And go in here. And I got this, and I'm going to go in here. I'm going to set the input to, whatever, bus 5 and 6. And for the snare drum and the hand clap, I'm going to send them over to that reverb there, bus 5 and 6. And I'm going to rename this. There's an easier way to do this, but I'm going to keep doing it like this for now. Drum reverb. Everything that was set to that drum reverb is good to go. The deverb here, I'm going to pull that over. And then go in here, I'm going to make this a room small. And I just copied it over from the other one and changed some things on it just to, it's quicker than pulling up. It's quicker than pulling up a new plugin here. And we go in here, boom, there we go. There we go. Give it some, yeah, there we go. Now it's got a little bit of weight to it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so this snare drum here on the end, let's make the hand clap do it. The hand clap at the end of this little loop, it's going to have a little delay on it. I'm going to do that using my automation that we learned about yesterday. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change this. Let's go back over here. I'm going to get this delay just on the hand clap. I'm going to turn it all the way down. And I'm going to automate the send amount. So I'm going to go here to where it says clips, down to the bottom, delay, level. And I'm going to just highlight this little bit right there like that. And I'm going to pull it up to negative, whatever, like that. So now let's listen to it. Awesome. Cool. And that's going to follow that clip. Even though it's a MIDI clip, that automation is going to follow the clip. Cool. Okay, and that's some cool use for automation, to go back to our automation that we talked about yesterday. All right, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subgroup all these drums together. So I'm going to do this, and let's output. Let's go to a new track over here, and we call this one drum group, stereo aux, good to go, bloop, bam, solo safe the reverb. Now my drums. Cool. Oh, I want these cymbals. Where's my cymbals? I want the cymbals to go to that reverb as well. So, whoops. Cymbals go to the reverb. There we go. And I want the cymbals to go to the reverb quite a lot. There we go. Actually, I want the cymbals to go to the other reverb, not the drum reverb. Yeah, much better. Yeah. Cool. Let's see what happens when I put the cymbals to the delay as well. It's not, we're not gonna hear it as much because I got that filter. Wait, there we go. Hey, let's, hold on. That's why it has the automation on it. I don't want the automation, get out of here. Let's use this one, yes. Yes, I wanna change this end. This one, there we go. Cool. Ah, much better, yeah. Yeah. Cool. It's a subtle difference, but sounds much better, right? If y'all can hear it. I think you can probably hear it, yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right, so let's take these. Now, here's a cool thing. We talked about this very, very briefly, but here, let's go into a little bit deeper. Let's consolidate these. I'm gonna group these drums together because these drums, when I use them, they're all they're all going to be used as a group usually, and I can ungroup them if I want to. But the way we group them is Command Option G, and I highlighted them first in Command Option G, and now it makes them into a group that's just going to work together. It's my drum group, and I'm going to double click on it. Let's rename it. Rename the group, and we'll call this one drum group. There we go. And actually, before I rename it, I should rename it and then, there we go. Then do it this, okay, cool. There we go. All right, let's make this go all the way over here. And I can take this group that I just made. Oh, whoops, hold on a second. Take this group that I just made. Come on, group. Work with me, buddies. Yeah, there we go. Much better. And get rid of the end part of this last one here. Like that. There we go. Cool. Let's get that lead back in. Oh, sorry, this a little bit fast there because I think I had my loop set to, there we go, yeah. Yeah, there's like a little bit of a gap because I was in slip mode when I set up my loop. Yep. Oh, there we go. Let's do it that way. Cool. All right, anyway, you get the idea. There's some really cool stuff you can do in here. Let's just take a look at these notes again real quick, just so we make sure we're covering all the bases here. So, you got your Midi Editor window. Your Midi Editor window shows you the notes and stuff. To get to the Midi Editor window, you double click and it pulls it up. Up on the left-hand side over here, you got all your different tracks here, so you can show all the tracks if you want. I can see all my different drum tracks. Right now, they're not color-coded, so let's color-code these bad boys. I'm gonna go ahead and color them all my drums. I like all my drums to be this kind of orangey color. There we go, boom. Tracks, my clips, there we go. Let's do the bass down here, this bass. Let's make it red. Yeah. Which red? That red, right? That's like a purple. That red. And then this lead. Let's make the lead a little bit of a darker blue, kind of a purpley blue. There we go, cool. And these effects down here, I'm gonna make these yellow. I like my effects to be yellow. So I've got things color coded now. And if I double click on this, you can see these are all this color here. If I pull in my bass, the bass is this red color. If I pull in my lead, the lead is this, where is it? Up here, this blue color. And so what that's just showing me is just my different tracks. What I can quickly see what all my different tracks are doing and everything. I can see them on top of each other. It's a really cool way to work. If I want to put some new sounds in, I just make sure that my pencil tool is in the right place on the right track that I want to mess around with. So if I want to add in this side stick here, like something in the side stick, Let's add a little side stick in at the end over here. Let's go in here to end. And where's my side stick? This one, I think. Yeah, there we go. So that one there, and I get my pencil tool. And let's put in a little side stick right there. Let's change this to 16th notes. Yeah, much better. Put the side stick in the right place. Wow. The dog is not into the side stick. Cool. All right. So I got a little side stick over there, you know, something. Maybe put in like right there. Cool. Like that, and like maybe a couple more, like a, I don't know, hand clap or something. Where's my hand clap? Nope. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Nice. Okay, so let's see what that sounds like there. And go back to this other one. I can just close that out. Hit go. Cool. All right, nice. Okay, so we got that there. So you can go in and you can edit stuff. That's basically my point. Change duration, changes the length of things. Transpose. Transpose turns all your notes to a different pitch. So like, let's say, for example, I want this to not be in the key of F minor. I wanted all this stuff to be in the key of E flat minor. So I can go in here and go to my transpose. And let's change it to from F to E flat. Hit apply. And there we go. So now or I could change it from E flat to G. Hit apply. Right, so you can see the different ways you can do this. I can change it from G to F, back to F. There we go, boom. I'm hitting the keys on my keyboard to get these different notes in there. You can also transpose by semitones up and down. This really kind of depends on how much music theory you have knowledge of, like how good are you at music theory. You're going to be better at this or worse. I recommend getting some good music theory under your belt because that'll really help things out. But, you know, I'm making it look really quickly right here. It might not be quite as quick for you. It wasn't always as quick for me. I remember when I first started off with this stuff, even though I had a lot of music theory, I didn't really understand about how to do it in Pro Tools, and it was very slow. Now it's a lot faster. Learning all these tips and tricks and stuff like that I know how to do makes life a lot quicker for show. All right. Restore the performance. When I played the stuff in, I played it in, it was like pretty sloppy. And if I quantize it and later on I'm like, you know what? I want it to be sloppy again. I can actually go back over here to Event Operations and go to Restore Performance, and I can restore my performance. I can do the timing and the duration, all that stuff there, and put it back to how it was. I'm not going to do it right now because why? But there you go. If I want to save this current settings as my restored performance or my baseline performance, I can use Flatten Performance. This sets the current state as the original performance. You don't ever need to use this. Not really. I don't really know why you would use Flatten Performance. I do know why you would use Restore Performance, because if you've done some editing and you're just like, you know what? It sounds too sterile. It doesn't sound interesting anymore. I want it to be more interesting again. I want it to go back to my original performance. Then you can use Restore Performance. But Flatten Performance, I mean, somebody might at some point like tell you, hey, here's why you would use Flatten Performance. But that person's not going to be me because I don't know why you'd use Flatten Performance. All right, finally, our final thing for today is Realtime Properties. Basically, Realtime Properties are all the stuff we just talked about, but non-music it doesn't change it in the clip. It's just a thing that you add onto it. It's like a plugin that you add on top of it. This is like if you are used to using Logic, if you've used Logic a lot, you're used to using Logic, and in the upper left-hand corner of the window, it's got all these little things. You can quantize stuff. You can do all that stuff. That's basically what the Realtime Properties does, like that. Because with that, you can always just turn it off, turn it back on, whatever you want to do. Realtime Properties allows you to do the same thing. So, for example, here's my original performance. Let's go ahead and solo this lead out. If I wanted to change the key of this really quickly, but not have it be baked into the clip, I can go to Event, Realtime Properties, right here. And now I can change it in here. I could say transpose by a couple semitones down. Now, wait, why? Why are you not? What was happening? What was I selecting? There we go. Here, let's change this. I don't know what I was actually selecting there. Weird. So transpose. So clip should be the right clip. I don't know what I was doing. All right, here we go. Let's do this. There we go. Now it's changing it. And I can change it in real time. You can hear I'm changing it in real time by using my up and down arrows. And I can do it with the bass as well. For all these. And once I've done it, you can see what happens is it puts a little R. It's not actually doing it to the bass here for some reason. I'm not sure why. It doesn't like it. It's applying it to the track. Yeah, the track. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna clear these clip properties here. Boom. So you gotta be careful with Pro Tools because the real-time properties don't work the same like as smoothly as they do in Logic. One other thing you can do, which I never really do just because of space, but you can actually pull up your real-time properties over here and you can have them on to like right in here. So this is like applying it to the track. So here, go down here. And for some reason this one doesn't want to do it, which is kind of weird. I feel like you should do it. It's not giving me the little T. It should give me the little T down here in the corner. See how it's got a T? That's the T is for real-time properties, track real-time properties. But whatever. I'm not gonna. It might be a glitch because of the M1 chip. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time worrying about it. But there you go. That's there for you. If you want to do real-time properties stuff. It's all the same stuff. It's or at least a lot of the same stuff. It's just you can change it in real time as you kind of move around. So that's what it's useful for. It's kind of neat for that kind of stuff. Cool. Awesome. And I think that pretty much brings us to the video portion of today. What I want to do is I actually want to go over to Zoom and talk about this stuff in Zoom with you a bit more so we can get some questions answered and stuff like that, if there are any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. And what we're going to do is stop the recording here. There's my OBS window. There's my OBS window.